The key to Majestic, and really the philosophy, and I guess you could call it the secret, the underlying principle, is the journey process. If you get this right, everything will start to flow around that, because the journey is really an authentic expression of who you are as a person. Now, this is always the hardest part, and the reason why I spent the first morning kind of preparing you and to get you understanding the importance of being natural and understanding how these processes work. Writing a bit of information about themselves is difficult for a lot of people. And what I try to really help you understand is that if you do it, your response rates will be enormous. So it's kind of like the payment for such good response rates, if you want. You know, nothing's for free in this world. So if you want to get good response rate, you have to start breaking through that barrier and start being authentic in yourself. So let's go and look at how we're going to do that. Okay, so let's look at the technical aspects of the journey. The first email that you're going to send out, okay, email number 1. Has got to be 100% about you. If you're really, really, really uncomfortable just sending an email to your database that talks only about yourself, then if you want to incorporate a little article or some other value-add information, you can. However, I'm giving you the purest view. And the purest view is episode number 1 is all about you. So what can you talk, what is there to say about ourselves? You know? Huh? Yeah, you've got quite a lot to say, but now you've got to think, what would you have to say about yourself that might actually interest other people? I mean, do they really want to know that you've got 3 kids and they're this age and they go to this school? No? So what do we want to talk about? And you can't mention a product, a sale, or a price. And remember the golden rule, no company names. Expertise. Okay, so we start talking about our expertise. But now, even before we got to our expertise, what is it that makes you so passionate about what you're an expert in? In other words, what we need to do is the first email is linking or connecting you to what it is you're passionate about or what it is that you do. So it could be, for example, maybe a couple of years ago you had an interesting experience and you had a near-death experience or something. You nearly killed in a car accident and you woke up one morning and said, wow, I've re-looked at my life and this is what happened. Maybe it's giving birth to a child. One guy said, and one of my favorite lines is, he said something along the lines of, several years ago I was walking through a market in one of the back markets out in Eastern Cape somewhere, some market in Eastern Cape. And I just was walking along, and on the pinned to the side of one of the stalls was a sign saying, "What is Zen?" To find out, and go this way, and an arrow. And he said, what happened after that changed my life forever. Is that engaging? Okay, that's the kind of thing. So what we want to do now is we want to sit down and say, what is engaging to us as individuals, okay, that we can actually communicate to our database that is 100% authentic about us, doesn't mention a product, doesn't mention a price, is not sales orientated, basically is everything that all the business books tell you not to do. Exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break those rules. Anyone got any ideas? Have you guys got, do you think there's something authentic in your life that's happened to you that you could talk about? Or are you all dull, boring, bland people? I think you're not. Would you like me to read you one of mine?
Yes. Start us off.
Just to give you okay, I'll read you one of mine. This was sent out to those people, a couple of you on the Night Out database. Now, the Night Out for us is a perfect example of where Majestic started a business with zero capital, became, well, successful. I mean, it earns us a bit of pocket money every month. And it's just a wonderful little business that we run that really adds a lot of value to people's lives. A year and a half ago, I thought, you know what Joburg needs? There's lots of nice bars and clubs and all these kind of things, but once you start hitting sort of 30, believe it or not, I am 30, 33 actually, what we need is somewhere that starts to say, hang on, maybe there's something a bit more authentic. We spend a fortune on drinks and trying to chat up chicks and all this kind of stuff. We just spend money and, you know, unless you quite good, you don't get much return on investment. No, seriously. We want a little bit, something a bit more authentic. So where can the kind of, it actually worked out the epicenter was about the 40 plus market. What can we put in Joburg where the 40% market can 40 plus market age group can come and actually have an authentic, enjoyable experience? So we thought, let's create this concept of Night Out. So what I did is I took my circle, the people around me. I went into my phone book and got my email addresses, and I got about 150 odd people of my personal contacts, stuck them into Majestic and said, guys, I'm having a night out. I'm bringing my Shaolin monk instructor. He's going to do a Shaolin Kung Fu demo and a Tai Chi demo and a bit of Qigong. So of course everyone thought, oh, this is interesting. And I don't know, we had like 80 or 90 people come to that evening. What an absolutely great success evening. So then we wanted to do it again. So now I had my database who understood what we were doing in terms of the dinners. And then I took another database of my friend Michael Tellinger. And what Michael did was he took his personal database, okay, who by incident coincidentally sold her house to Paddy over there, who coincidentally is now in the green, doing the Green Powerhouse. Anyway, that's just an interesting piece of connection for you. So Michael actually took Michael's database, and he had a good 150 odd in his database as well. So now Michael did his night out on the origins of humankind, on a little talk he did. So now I had my database and I had Michael's database. Could put them together and we market Michael's night out. Bang, success, even more people show up. Next one we did, a month later, we took Camilla's database from Walida, took her database, and she had even more than that, uploaded her database into the system, and her database and Michael's and mine started growing this database, and we ran hers. Anyway, to cut a long story short, my night out now absolutely packs out 2, sometimes 3 nights a week, full of people. And the difference is that when you come to a night out, you hear an interesting presentation, you have a world-class meal, and what's different about it is that you sit at a table with people you've never met before. And it's great. And you sit there, and that's exactly what it was about. And people under the age of 30 thought I was nuts. 30 thought I was nuts. They thought I'd lost the plot. I said, why would anyone want to do this? But once it started, What do you think?
She thinks you're nuts.
The 19-year-olds. You think I'm nuts? There we are. There we go. There's case in point. But now we have this amazing success. But what is really powerful about it is we've got a database of over 2,000 people. Because every time an invitation goes out, it says, would you like to invite your friends to this particular topic? People put in their friends, and we'll talk about the referrals just now. And what are the statistics? I honestly can't remember, but it's at least 20% of our database, must be more than that, it must be at least 30%, come from referrals in that database. So from people inviting friends. So we've got over 2,000 people in this database. Now this is what I want for all of your businesses, because if you've got a database of prospects and clients, several thousand, every time you've got a new product or something to do, an event or anything you want to market into, you've already built up a captive audience. Your inner circle is already built up. So we do no marketing, no advertising, no cold calling, nothing. Purely on referrals. I bomb out an email and we've already had 42 responses since I sent out an email this last night. So today already, since this morning, we've got 42 RSVPs for Paddy's, who's doing the next night out, when she talks about how she did her green home. Now, that not only helps us build our little business, but it also helps Paddy. It's a perfect marketing tool for her green powerhouse. So it's this whole win-win situation. And the whole thing has been built using the power of databases. So strangely enough, I didn't even need to really put a journey in place, because the first journey that I sent out was to my friends. Then Michael sent out his journey to his friends, and it's been an individual thing. So it's a little bit different to what you would do in your business. But then I thought, you know what, I've got 2,000 people in the database. They all see me there because I greet them when they come into the restaurant, but none of them really know who I am. So it's time I started my journey. I mean, I teach it all the time, so I better do it to my journey on night out. I do it with my Majestic database, so why not do it with this? And this is what I wrote. Perhaps it's time that I introduce myself to you properly. Insert the person's name. I was about 7 or 8 years old when I remember getting out of the bath. I can even recall exactly where I was, in the top bathroom of the Splashy Fen farm, long before the now famous Splashy Fen Music Festival was started. We've always been great family friends. I remember then and there asking my mother what the purpose of life was. She replied, I think life is a game, and the game is to know that you are God. My mother was one of the early founders of the I Am Joyspring movement, which today branched off into many directions, including Quest and Forum. Interestingly now, I seem to have come full spiral and find myself in the esoteric space once more, but still trying very hard not to keep it from being too esoteric. When I was about the same age, I participated in my first seance and watched with amazement as the glass moved around letters on a board to spell out some rather interesting discussions with the spirit world. What I remember most clearly about that night was the pet cat in the room at the time. The cat went crazy, and I'll never forget the look in its eyes as it sensed the presence of whatever it was we invoked. After that experience, it was very difficult to listen to any debate about whether ghosts existed or not, because it was all too obvious to me. As a kid, I grew up flipping I Ching coins, playing with runestones, and picking angel cards while boarding at St. Peter's Prep School. Now, how do you like them duality apples? At 15, I participated in a channeling, but that's another story which I'll get into later in my journey, as I don't want to offend any channelers at this wee hour of the day. Today, I'm 33 years old. I'm an author of 3 books. The first is called How Not to Start and Run Your Own Business. The second is called The Majestic Way, a framework for world micro business domination, which I give to anyone that asks for it. The third is a handbook on growing consciousness called Success Is Now. The titles speak for themselves, and each book supports my company Majestic, which is a community of businesses that use nature's principles to become financially sustainable. I'm also the core member of an environmental group called Midgard, and our intention is to co-create models of sustainability and bring back real community to this nightmare we call Western civilization. My frustration at seeing the incredible lack of intelligence in the man-made systems around me is let loose by training 2 to 3 hours of martial arts per day with Shuai Ming Liu, a 32nd generation monk from the Shaolin Temple in China. The night out dinner parties have grown to become a very rare community of very special people, and over the next few episodes of my journey, I will tell you why events such as these will play such a important role in the new economy.